What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And of course, I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms. This is below or directly at WiseTake.com. Or I'm sorry, above. Forget about the new layout. Or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. We got baseball coming up very shortly. We plan on doing some free content for that as well. Please hit the like button, leave some comments. Most importantly, if you could share the show, help spread the message of the WiseTake Nation. Would be greatly appreciated. Will help the nation grow. And the more we grow, we're able to put back into our products. That being said, we got a pretty good slate to get into. Shout out to our boy MD, WiseTake Nation member, man. He's making a whole ton of progress. Played some DraftKings, had some success. I don't think he plays DraftKings too much. I think he's more of a FanDuel guy, but shout out to him, man. He's been working real hard. He's been dedicated, busting his ass. Overall, pretty good day yesterday. You know, on FanDuel, playing the contest that I'm playing. Like, realistically, I need more teams. I need more to get into different contests. As you can see, I play usually 150 teams in the main donkey, the cheaper donkey, if you will, with 100K up top. So it's an extremely top-heavy tournament. So despite placing several teams in the top 100 out of 150,000, you know, I only profited like I think a couple $100 or whatever it was. So even on a good day, if you don't get first, it's like the old Ricky Bobby expression, right? If you're not first, you're last. That's what it seems like. But so, you know, it is what it is, man. Chasing the 100K up top. That's just, you know, part of the price you pay. But all in all, we've had some pretty good days recently. I had one this horrible day in between, no doubt, but we're on the right track, still chasing 100K. And if I can get even a little mini pop, then you know, I'll try to play some other contests in addition to this contest with better payout structures, I guess. Right? Pat Bush, what's going on, bro? Good to see you. Let's get it tonight. I agree. Dan T, what's up, bro? Appreciate it. Says CK to go. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. That being said, guys, we'll go ahead and jump in here. Feel free to participate in the YouTube chat as we do this. So, again, just kind of sticking to the injury theme, right? Looking at the first situation that pops out to me or has me interested is the we'll start off with what we know, right? Because we got some Q tags. We'll start off with what we know. LaMelo Ball's out, right? Charlotte happens to be playing Houston, who plays no defense and plays at a pretty fast pace, right? So we'll notice that off the top. So the first thing I want to look for is who's going to benefit in this situation with LaMelo Ball being out. And obviously the first candidate would be Terry Rozier at this point, right? Graham still seems to be getting eased back in. Whatever, what have you. Rozier is 7K on FanDuel, and I believe he's 7-1 on DraftKings. Rozier played 38 minutes against the Spurs, a team that has been playing really slow. Now he's playing Houston, a team that does not play defense and plays pretty fast, right? So, yeah, I think Terry Rozier is very interesting, and you can see why he's the cover boy of the show today. I think he's kind of one of our first places to look. Now, that being said, this is a nut spot for not just him, but his teammates as well. Devontae Graham has been priced up a little bit at 5.3. Still hasn't quite gotten into that rhythm. He's 5K on FanDuel. 28 minutes was good to see. That was the most he's played since we're coming back from his injury. The aggression that we thought we'd see with LaMelo out, we thought we'd see a little more of a version of him like last year. We have not seen that. Only took 6 shots. That's just not what you want from a guy like Graham. However, this is an even better matchup, and the fact that he played 28 minutes tells me maybe he gets a little bit more today, right? So I'm definitely interested in Graham. Gordon Hayward is 7-9 on DraftKings. He's only 7K on FanDuel. So on FanDuel, I would assume he's going to be pretty popular, rightfully so. 36 minutes, went for 44. He was more aggressive. Look at his shot attempts. Look at his shot attempts over here. So 7, 8, 12. Most recently, right? Yeah, he's had some 16, 15, took 19 shots against the Spurs. Now, granted, he was playing pretty well, right? Shot 47.4% from the field, 3 or 4 from 3. Got some rebounds, some assists, right? However, Cody Zeller was also out. And I'm hearing that Cody Zeller may actually come back. Or it's a game time decision. So if that happens, I still like Hayward, but there's a there's a good chance that he spends a lot of his time at the 3 instead of the 4. We always like the 3, right? Because players play closer to the basket. Typically leads to more rebounds. Typically leads to higher percentage of shots. We know that. Especially in this sense with Charlotte, they play whenever Zeller's out. They do play Biyombo, but they also play PJ, who's their starting 4 at the 5. So we see kind of a little slide down action. But I'm still interested in Gordon Hayward regardless. I just would be even more interested if Zeller was out. PJ Washington played really well. Right, he's 6K on FanDuel. What is that? 7-3 on DraftKings, man. They make it tough. He played 42 minutes against the Spurs, man. Well, they got 42. FanDuel got 41. So somebody's rounding the wrong way. He did double, 10 points, 13 rebounds, 14 shots. So he shot terribly from the field, and he still went for almost 40. Right? That's kind of interesting to me. So even at this price tag, especially on FanDuel, if we do get Zeller ruled out, I'll be even more interested in PJ. If Zeller's in, I'm still okay with it. But I would like it a lot more if Zeller was out. But that's interesting to me, right? He took a lot of shots. He didn't do well. 28% from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, but he took 14 shots. And considering how shitty he shot, he still produced, which is important. Last but not least, last guy we'll go over is Malik Monk. 3,800 on FanDuel. Played 26 minutes, did not play particularly well. I believe he's 40, what is he? He's 4-something on DraftKings. 4-3, still pretty cheap. Again, they got 27, they got 26. 5 for 15, he also kind of shot like shit, but 15 shots. Now, he's going to be scoring dependent, that's what he is, but he is cheap, man. I think we could definitely take advantage. And this is the kind of matchup, where, a fast-paced environment where he could thrive if he's going to get those kind of minutes. Now, it makes sense with Graham only getting so-so and Malik Monk getting so-so the minute split. So I'm definitely interested in Monk. The question is, do we set a rule, right? Do we set a rule in our teams tonight to play Malik Monk or to not play both Malik Monk and Devontae Graham? That's the question. We got to look at Popcorn Machine. We'll investigate that. I'll have an answer a little more clearly for the pre-lock Wise stream, which we do 45 minutes prior to lock for WiseTake Nation subscribers at wisetake.com. And also, I'll probably address something in my article, at least in the player rankings. But it's an interesting question, right? So the Charlotte side, yeah, I'm interested. A lot of them. Interested in a lot of them. As far as news that we're waiting for, well, Kyrie Irving we know is out. I guess we should address that too, right? We know Kyrie's out. Shamet's out. They got a slew of injuries. Harden did play yesterday. As of right now, it looks like he's not questionable or anything like that. Harden played well. He's playing Utah, man. It's a little bit of a tough situation playing Utah in Utah. I know Utah hasn't looked as dominant. They've been winning and playing well, but they haven't looked as dominant. But they never really do on the road, typically, right? But at home, they got a little bit of elevation going for them. Now, they are returning home from a long road trip, so something to consider. But if Harden ends up extremely popular, this could be the day. This could be the day. Not saying it is the day. It's too early for us to really make that definitive statement, but it could be the day that we get rewarded if we go underweight on Harden. Just judging by his ownership. Now, what it's really going to come down to for me is position scarcity. Let me look at that position, see how deep or not deep it is. If it's not deep, I'm not going to force it. We'll just plug away on Harden. If it's deep and we have a lot of options, a lot of guys that have upside, and we can use that money elsewhere, that's where we have to make that decision on Harden, I think. But it's a back-to-back for Brooklyn. Brooklyn is a good team. Harden is a difference maker. Obviously, he can make any game competitive just by himself like he did for the Rockets for many years. But this is Utah in Utah, right? Does Brooklyn have enough firepower on a back-to-back in Utah to keep up with Utah, who's taking and making a ton of threes? That's the question. Decisions, right? I mean, it's not just him, right? This Claxton kid, we can address him. Did they raise his price yet? 4K, so they did a little bit. 22 minutes, went for 28. This Claxton kid is awesome. And if the game does get ugly, if you're in that blowout narrative, Claxton is 5K over here. Damn. But if you're into that blowout narrative, then you would think that Claxton would get even more run. So these are the kind of decisions you want to make, right? Certain guys you think will get more run in blowouts. Certain guys you think will get more run in a close game. Joe Harris got 32 minutes. Looked like he was going to smash and just kind of didn't do nothing the rest of the night. But he's another one that if the game stays close, you would anticipate him having something to do with it in terms of three-pointers and whatnot. Bruce Brown got 21 minutes. He was pretty popular last night and didn't do nothing with him, right? Well, I think, well, let's be real. People thought he was going to get more than that, right? But something to keep an eye on. Once again, Harden's out west, so they're going to be waiting for this game for a long time. In the meantime, on the other side of this game, just going to note it real quick on the other side of this game, big pace boost for Utah, right? So keep that in mind. Brooklyn, not a good defensive team. Sticking with the injury theme, the next notable one that we're waiting for, I believe, is Milwaukee, right? Giannis currently questionable. He practiced, but he's questionable. Giannis don't miss a lot of games. He's only missed 2 all year. If he's in, they're playing Boston. It is what it is. If he's out, we need to assess the price increases for Middleton and Holiday. Now, on FanDuel, I know Middleton. Let me just find it real quick. On FanDuel, I know Middleton is, Holiday is 8-3. He's only 7-2 on DraftKings, and he was the one that really went fucking nuts. 29 minutes, went for 62, man. We haven't seen Holiday erupt like that, right? We kind of knew it was coming with Giannis out because that's just what happens in Milwaukee when Giannis misses. But Middleton is 7-4. He got there against Indiana, sort of, right? I mean, I know people were probably hoping he did a little bit more than what he did, but he got there, right? Yeah, 7-6, 45. I mean, was what it was. This is interesting, though. He's playing Boston, right? Middleton is the more pure shooter of the bunch. And Boston is a team where this year they haven't been as good defensively in general, but generally speaking, they've been decent at defense, right? At least when they're fully healthy. However, one of their biggest weaknesses has always been shooters, guys that could shoot jump shots, and that's Middleton's forte. So I do think this is a little bit of a better Middleton spot. And I think that on FanDuel, he's the cheaper one. I don't think, but he's the cheaper one on FanDuel, which makes me more interested in him. On DraftKings, however, they got him at 8K. They got Holiday at 7-2. So they kind of seem to be on the same kind of thing, right? Bobby Portis is 5-3, only got 25 minutes. That game was ultimately a blowout. And he balled out. 8 for 14, took 14 shots in 25 minutes, made the most of his. He's another player we'll have to heavily watch and consider if Giannis is in fact out. Is PJ Tucker is probable. He got a little action, 11 minutes. They're still working him in. He's the biggest threat to me to Bobby Portis. I worry about that sometimes. But it's all don't matter. None of it matters if Giannis is in. Right? Another spot to pay attention to is the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon currently questionable. He missed his last game. Pull it up over here. Where we at? First game of the night. Damn. So we should have this news. That's the good thing. We should have this news. So Brogdon did miss against Milwaukee. Ultimate revenge spot. His back must have really been hurting because he didn't play. And you feel like he would have wanted to. Miles Turner also missed the last game. Right? He's currently listed as questionable. So we'll check the status of these two guys. What happens if they're out? If they're out, the first place I'll look as far as the wings go for Brogdon is LeVert. LeVert is 6'6", went for 38 against Milwaukee. Looks like he's 6'8" on FanDuel. He didn't even start off that great, but he got there later. 3 for 10 from 3. It was nice that he took 10 threes. Not so nice he didn't make them. This should be a little bit of a softer matchup for him defensively. So I would definitely be interested in Mr. Karis LeVert. Not going to shy away from Karis LeVert if Brogdon gets ruled out. If Brogdon's in, maybe it's a little crowded for the expected pace of this game. Right? I think Lamb had a pretty good day. 27 minutes, he went for 40. Damn, he had a good day. It's an understatement. Jeremy Lamb, very cheap. 27 minutes was interesting. Now, he was 8 for 14. Did he play more because he was red hot? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. Interesting question in the chat. Solo DZ, or D, Solo Ds. So what do you think of Bitcoin-based fantasy league, or should I say cryptocurrency-based? It's only a matter of time before that happens. And I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of sports books, offshore, legal, whatever you want to call them, do that. They can pay you out in Bitcoin. They'll allow you to pay them in Bitcoin. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, as this continues to pick up speed, if FanDuel DraftKings, if the big sites eventually followed suit and kind of accepted those things, as well as legal sports books. Now, obviously, there's regulations to consider, but I wouldn't be surprised, just saying. So, yeah, Lamb's a guy to keep an eye out for value if Brogdon and Turner get ruled out. And then McConnell, man, he was a little disappointing. Did get 32 minutes though. Did like to see that. Now he wasn't terrible. He just wasn't like as good as I was hoping. He's 5K on FanDuel, a little bit of a better price. Again, he's playing big minutes this year, and he's produced in a lot of games. You can see what he did in the 19th against Miami. Went for 54. Went for 71 once against Cleveland. Granted, he had a triple-double via steals with 10 steals. But yeah, another guy to keep an eye on if we lose Brogdon in this game, because they've been more committed this year to getting him minutes, time on the court. So those, from what I understand, are the more prominent injury situations. We talked about some of the hypotheticals that we think are fairly important, and we talked about the definites, what we know. There's a couple things that we're not going to address here: the Gallinaris, the Rosses, all that kind of stuff. The question is now, what do we do? Now, in order for us to identify the chalk, we need to know that news, right? So without really knowing that news, it's hard for us to identify the chalk. As of right now, we're just going to assume the chalk is going to follow the injury situations that we know, which right now would be Charlotte and potentially Harden. I would even say Brooklyn, but really Harden, right? The game that stands out to me the most in terms of GPPs, right? Like what games should we attack for tournaments? The Atlanta Kings game stands out to me the most, right? It's one of the late night hammers, right? We got two of them tonight. One of the late night hammers. Two fast-paced teams, two teams that do not emphasize defense. Atlanta, shout out to my boy Fritz in the WiseTake Nation Slack chat, who did point out to me that the Hawks are playing really good basketball right now. And it's funny because sometimes I get so caught up in fantasy that I'm looking more at the fantasy production from their key players. And if they're not doing well, I kind of assume in my head, they suck, right? But in reality, they're playing really well. And as he mentioned, and I agree with him, it probably has to do with Trae Young playing more team ball, having more help. Guys like Clint Capella contributing, Gallo's been contributing, even Bogdan's been getting off his ass. So I do think those were kind of interesting statements, right? And it's funny because I said I wasn't going to talk about Gallo, but maybe I should. Because Gallo's questionable, and if Gallo is out, you know who could really be interesting? In a revenge spot, the ultimate revenge spot. I would call it the ultimate when they get to play in their former stadium or arena, whatever you want to call it. Let me find this man. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong team. That's how much of revenge it is. I'm looking at the wrong damn team. Bogdanovich is 4K. Right. On DraftKings, he's 4-2 on FanDuel. He did play his team recently and didn't really do anything. 21 minutes, went for 15. But if you notice against the Lakers, against OKC, there were a couple spots where he did play 29 minutes. Right? If Gallo is out, if we get anyone out really in that wing area, any excuse for us to think Bogdan's going to play a little bit more. Right? And as you can see, he's cheap in a revenge spot. And he's already been playing better. Against OKC, finally had a decent game. Right? So this is something to keep an eye on. But regardless, I still think this game is kind of interesting for tournaments. Right? I haven't even looked at the totals yet, nothing like that. Ankar says, under new coach lit a fire under them, referring to the Hawks. I agree. That's the only explanation, right? They got a new coach, and all of a sudden they're winning. It happens a lot. It doesn't even matter if the coach change was good or bad. A lot of times when it's mid-season, shit happens, and that's why sometimes you'll see these teams make these moves, because they just want to light a fire under the team's ass and show them. Like, the coach can be removed, so can any one of y'all. And I think a lot of times it ends up working. The culture changes, things get different. Sometimes getting that difference, a refresher, helps. DeAndre Hunter did play 20 minutes, so that could throw a damper into things. So, not saying that there is no risk with Bogdan, but if Gallo was out, it would certainly help, right? Missing any players that we can would certainly help. Cam Reddish is still out, so there's still openings, and they brought him here with intention. On the other side, though, looking at the Sacramento side, really good spot for De'Aaron Fox. Fox played 38 minutes against Cleveland for 49. Buddy Hield has been playing really well. We'll address that. 38 minutes. Been fairly consistent. And then, of course, Harrison Barnes has had a phenomenal season. And then Tyrese Halliburton, who's fairly cheap still, played 36 minutes against Cleveland and went off, right? 28 actual points. We can get behind that. So this is a situation to keep an eye on, is my point. That's really where I'm getting at. Because this game, in general, could be lower owned because a lot of times, again, the injury news will dictate the chalk, and as it should, right? It's been really chalky lately, and the chalk has been doing pretty well lately for the most part. But a lot of times that'll lower the ownership on some of the other games. Curious to see what the ownership is on the Dallas-Minnesota game. Luka Doncic has been pretty popular lately. He's been playing really well lately. Minnesota's a fast-paced team, but they're not that good, right? Good spot for Cat. And this is a massive slate, so maybe the chalk won't be as heavy as we anticipate. Maybe you can go a little overweight on some of these chalky injury plays and not have to worry so much, because considering it's an 11-game slate, people just don't go there because there's so many damn options. All possibilities. Anyway, I think we're going to end it here. This was a good little first look for me, a little refresher as I prepare to write my article. I'll be doing the WiseTake projections right after this show. I'll be updating everything, going through the minutes, and it'll take me a little bit of time because it's 11 games. I like to go game by game to check everything. So be on the lookout. I'll post it to the site when it's ready. My article will be out as usual, and we'll continue to do that dirty. Hopefully, I catch y'all at the Wise stream, our pre-log live show, which is at wisetake.com. We got day passes available for $2.50 if you want to try out the content. Only thing you don't get is a Slack chat. If you want to try it out, go check it. Chalupas and chicken, what's happening, bro? What's happening? Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. I appreciate all the support. Appreciate all you guys. Again, if you could share the show as much as you can, Facebook, Twitter, I don't care where your platform is. If you have any other DFS group, share the show. Get the message out, man. I'm just trying to push the free content, get more people on board. The more we grow, the more we can, put back into the product. So I appreciate y'all. Like button, share, all that good shit for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation. As always, good luck.